Hello, my loves, and welcome to eqwjah Love Guru Edition. So I tend to not do the loved ones as much because I don't want people hitting me up all the time to try to fix their relationships. But I do recognize when there's an energy in the air that is basically affecting the entire collective right now in this moment. And it's part of the patriarch, it's part of distortion, it's also part of toxic feminine and masculine energy. And what that is just being pretty with no motivation is not attractive. For decades, for centuries, since the time of whatever, we have been taught as long as I'm pretty and good in bed, I ain't got to do nothing else when it comes to a functional, balanced relationship. Now, what this means is when you're single, I don't care what you do. I don't care who you attract. I don't care how you act. When you are in a relationship with another functioning adult who is emotionally now stepping into your world to be a part of your purposefulness, your functionness, whatever that might be, whatever that looks like to you, beyond just waking up and walking out the door to put on a facade, but actually being who you are meant to be authentically by yourself and with a partner. This is why 2020 has either made so many relationships break up or get together because people are starting to realize that you can still work, you can still function, you can still figure out your day. But when it comes to your emotions, why is it we still shut down there and we blame outside sources or other people? Just like in a friendship, really think about it. If your friend is looking like they're depressed or looking like they're going through something, isn't it your job as a friend to be like, hey, are you okay? Like, I'm not trying to pick on you, but I noticed that you've been doing a few patterns that kind of seem like you're stuck. And I just want to know if there's anything I can do to help you or just let you be aware that you're going in a circle. Sometimes we don't know we're going in circles. We think we're living our life like everyone else, and we're going in circles over and over and over, not realizing why am I getting nowhere? Because we haven't stopped to assess or reevaluate our own pattern of behavior in a very long time. Now, what does this look like in a relationship? If your partner is going through something, and I've been in situations where people I've dated and myself have been depressed. There's nothing that your partner can do when you're depressed. They can clean the house, they can be immaculate, they can be great in bed, they can be doing all these things that make you feel good for the body. But what about for your emotional body that is alone by itself all the time and has to find a way to pull itself out? And again, we don't want to pull ourselves out with just addictions. We don't want to remember you can be addicted to anything: food, sex, drugs, your pets, everything. All of these things become your scapegoat or your escape emotionally to say, when I'm with this thing or when I have this thing, everything in my life just feels better. It just melts away and I forget. Yes, that's what drugs do. That's what addictions do. Once you have the thing you need, then you're good. Your fix is fine. You're thinking about it all day. It doesn't matter how you put it, whatever you apply it to, maybe fashion, shopping, whatever. If you're thinking about it all day and it's distracting you from your emotional world, when your emotional world is then stopped in its place, everything is functionally happening. You got the job, the money, the man, but you're still sad. You got the job, the money, the man, or the woman, you're still sad. Whatever. I was trying to do both. But the point is that you can have everything you want in this functional, tangible world. But then when you're by yourself and you're with a partner, how do you say, hey, you seem like you're in a funk. You seem like you've been going in circles and like, I don't know. If you're with someone who is not mature enough to handle being told the pattern that they're stuck in, it's going to look like, who are you to tell me? Or you're judging me? That is distortion. That is someone who is in it. Now, this might sound controversial, but this is someone who is in it for only the sex or the affection that they want from you when they want it. Do you understand? Let me repeat that. If you come to somebody that you're in a relationship with and you're trying to say, hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I notice there's a few things that is going on and I just want to let you know, this is what I noticed. If they snap at you, that person is not in the relationship for you. They're in it for themselves only. And that's how you get a narcissistic relationship. Because why I say you're only in it for the sex or the affection is, if I'm afraid to speak to you and if I'm afraid to upset you, what can you take away from me that I can't give myself already? And that is where power lies. So what that means, most people, well, I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to have sex with them. Okay, so you're shutting down and using it as a way to use power, and you're gaslighting not only your own emotions but the person's. So that you can have one of the most genuine people in your life who really is there for you end up going back into their darker side and doing some petty manipulative things. If you become petty with the energy that someone's trying to make you aware of, then that's when you start realizing the type of relationships you're in. This is why we get the terms like twin flame. To me, a twin flame is somebody where physically, everything we got, we look great. Emotionally, we not clicking. We're two separate flames burning in a different direction, trying to figure out who we are. And as attracted as I am to you or the situation, that can't be enough. This is the point of the motivation of life. Can't be just a pretty face to have someone just sitting there. That's a piece of furniture. I don't need a pretty piece of furniture. I need a piece of furniture that's going to be functional and pretty. And functional and pretty looks like having conversations that are uncomfortable with yourself and your partner or spouse and your friends and family members. It's all one and the same. Again, remember, if I have nothing to gain from you beyond a friendship and love and just another person to check in on and check in on me, that's a friendship and that's a relationship. If I'm afraid to confront you with something because I think of how you're going to react, then to me, that's your own distorted view of how to communicate. And if you're not able to communicate in a loving, gentle way that's going to help someone grow, remember, growth is not without pain, okay? We come out the womb from a place of silence and to allow dynamicism of maybe our parents screaming, the doctors, be blah, us ourselves. We go from that to that. So it's going to be the same in the reverse when we go back inside of ourselves and we need to go back into silence. We have so much dynamicism outside that we forget to go back into our own silence of self to really redirect that energy and ask, am I functioning in my own life, or am I just in a pattern of a life? Does that make sense? If you're in a pattern of a life, you go to the school someone tells you to go to, you go live where someone tells, just because all your friends live in that area, you can hate the neighborhood, but all my friends live here. Okay, so you're living somewhere for someone else's existence. But if you're like, you know what, I love fresh air, I like being near the city, but I need a little bit more land, I need to see that. So then you're willing to move a little further away. That time it takes to drive there is your sanity and your preciousness of time. If you start allocating it appropriately, then you start recognizing the disconnect of when you're in your life functioning and when you're in your life just repeating like a drone. I'm just going to do this every single day because I'm told to. And that's where we get stuck. And it is really hard to tell your partner, hey, you look stuck. Let me just turn you around. I have no fear talking to my partner about anything because we build the relationship of as long as we keep talking to each other. And while we're talking to each other, we're looking at each other, we're touching each other, we're reaffirming the relationship is there. The relationship is not damaged because I had something to say that's going to help your inner world. Remember, our inner world and outer world are two different people. And so the outer world is experiencing and reacting, but the inner world, it gets so used to the deflection that it isn't used to opening up and just telling someone how they feel. So when you get in a relationship and you start trying to just be a pretty face and just play the role and just speak when you're spoken to and all that kind of stuff, guess what happens? Now you're building a disbalance of energy. This person becomes more narcissistic in energy and have higher expectations of you. And again, no expectations or explanations. I am an adult. I owe them to no one. But if I choose to give you one, that means that I appreciate your time and your understanding as well. And so I want to give you that. This is how we have to take back our time so that we understand when we are in intimate situations and relationships with people, that we're respecting each other the same way that we respect anyone else that we consider a friend or an outsider that we don't want them to think bad of us. If you're still stuck in that moment of feeling like someone's going to think bad of you, then flip that around and care more about the people closer to you than the people or care more about the people outside of you than the people closer to you. Let me rephrase that, because sometimes the people closest to you, they're still stuck in lying to you. And the people outside of you, they will tell you the truth in a second. But people are so triggered by change and by something that comes from outside of them, then they don't know how to react. Now, let's say we get into a relationship, you don't know how to react, I know how to react. Guess what's going to happen when something bothers me? I'm going to seem like I'm always popping off. Guess what's going to happen when something bothers you? You're going to shut down and get quiet, and it's going to seem from the outside looking in like I'm bullying you. But that's not the truth. The truth is that I'm just used to being able to say, hey, this is how I feel. It doesn't change about anything about how I love you, but how I feel right now needs to be expressed so that I can detach it from an old memory of conditioning or something that I know that doesn't resonate with my soul. And then you, the person who's reciprocating or taking it, then you can say, hey, you know what? I didn't realize I was doing that. I'm not aware of that. I mean, it's throwing me off guard. I didn't expect this. But I appreciate you bringing me some clarity and awareness to this. So now I can say, well, I'll take it with a grain of salt. However you respond is how you respond. But as long as you know that it's not coming from a place of ill intent, you'll start building stronger relationships, not only with yourself, which is the most important relationship to have, but with other people that you're romantically involved with. Because if your partner feels depressed and they're just laying around and yeah, they're going to work and they're doing everything they have to do, but you're looking at them like they ain't doing nothing. You don't want to become that person that's now keeping track of someone who's trying to figure themselves out, because that's part of an old cycle of parental control that's saying, when you look at your teenager, they ain't doing nothing. Look at them just laying there. That sounds like jealousy. Don't be jealous of someone because they have the time to sit there and listen to their mind. This is why meditation and everything is so important to all that we do and every daily motivation, because then when we start to hear ourselves, we know how to feel ourselves, and then the feeling will tell you if what you're thinking matters or if what you're thinking is just making you think more. Emotional regulation is one of the most important and vital keys to surviving in this world. And when you start appreciating emotional regulation for what it is, then you'll start appreciating other people for what they're trying to tell you and give you. So then when you're in a place of receiving, people will feel comfortable approaching you energetically, because it doesn't matter when people say, oh, you look mean. There's no such thing as looking mean. But there's energies that make you feel like somebody looks mean because you can tell they don't want you to come near them. It's like an animal. Animals know, like, nah, I'm good. There's something off with you. Trust the energy. Trust what you're feeling and trust what you're going through, so that you know when somebody approaches you in love, you know that they mean it from a good place and they only want to help you grow. Sometimes you have to be uprooted and ripped out of the ground, and when that pain happens, that's saying, okay, I'm about to get new life somewhere else. That's all that means. I know it's scary, but wouldn't you rather be ripped out of a ground where you're not growing, you're not getting any resources, you're barely hanging on, trying to make it, and you just like, nope, I made it this long, so I'm gonna keep holding my ground. But that don't make no sense. If something comes along and is able to pick you up and say, love, you can grow better here, I'm gonna receive that and be in pain for a moment. And then when they sit me down in refertile soil, then I know, oh wow, oh my God, this is how love really feels. Oh wow, this is how I'm supposed to really feel when someone cares about me. That's when you start closing the gaps in the timelines of your past ancestors, your parents, your grandparents, and anybody else through TV, media, or something else that's conditioned you to believe that you're not supposed to be friends with your partner. You are supposed to be friends with the person that you call a lover, not just a bedroom buddy, okay? So forget all that. When they say pillow talk, they really mean share that moment, because you're sharing each other's world and body. So you should share each other emotionally and spiritually as well. All right, guys, I love you. I hope that made sense. But as always, take time to love yourselves and really listen to what is happening to you, because it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And it's always going to teach you a greater lesson about yourself, which gets you closer to God and Source. All right. I love you guys. As always, check me out on all my social media platforms, epicenity.org, EQ with Jah on Blankcanvas.club, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I do it all. All right. I love you guys. I'm being goofy. Besos. Mwah.